Good, beautiful morning. It's Friday, June the 17th, 2022. I want to welcome you to Friday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. My name is William Michael Herbs. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And here we discuss a variety of issues with different beings that come through and channel information to us that we can consider and review for our own evolution and growth. Today I have with me the energy of a being called Jerald Jampolsky, who's probably well known for a book called Love is Letting Go of Fear. It's a fascinating thing where we are as a species right now. We're going to get a little bit more into that. We've got so much happening, these ascension energies coming in, really, really important stuff coming up. I also want to announce, there are a couple of announcements to make before we get started. There's going to be a special patrons only live event tomorrow at 12 p.m. That's Saturday, June the 18th at 12 p.m. That's a separate event from our Supernatural Saturday meditation program, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m. So Saturday, June 18th, 12 p.m. It's a patrons only live event that'll be held. All my patrons, you will have received a link this morning. And it's going to be with Archangel Raphael and his discourse and meditation. Love is the pathway to healing and ascension. Love is the pathway to healing and ascension. That's going to be with Archangel Raphael at 12 p.m. tomorrow. So I hope you'll come and join us for that then. The energy of Jerald is very interesting. The transition that he went through in his life of going from pain to love is a journey that many of us end up having to make, but we don't all have to make it. Some of us are blessed with a good upbringing and we got information and knowledge that allows us to connect to love at a very early age in life. But the vast majority of people are brought into vibrational states of fear, and being able to understand the distinction between who you are as a consciousness, as an awareness, and the emotions you have is very, very important. To understand how to surrender fear is the key to restoring yourself to love. Fear gives birth to all suffering. Not some suffering. Fear gives birth to all suffering. Even the slightest irritation can get in your way, and that can compound if you give it attention. Understanding what you are as a consciousness that functions in a different level of awareness than the vibration of fear. You struggle with many, many lifetimes of information stored in your DNA, experientially acquired inclinations through the body that you oftentimes find yourself believing that you are the impulses that you're experiencing from the body. But the process of letting go of fear becomes a fairly simple one when you become aware of the distinction between yourself and the fear that you perceive. Whether that fear is inside you or you think that fear is caused by something outside of you, the moment you become aware of fear, the nature of your awareness necessitates that you recognize that there is a differentiation, there is a transition, there is a separateness between you and the fear. There is a separateness between you and the fear. And that puts you in a position to be able to change, to move out of. Now, the process of self-medication is largely based on the fact that one doesn't know how to deal with their fear or their anger, which again is simply another manifestation of fear. Fear is what gives birth to all negative emotions. It does not matter where it originated in your life or lifetimes, or if it originates in your perceptions and judgments about the outside world. Fear is the cornerstone of all suffering, and your capacity to alter and change fear, to let it go, begins the moment you are aware of it. The moment you are aware that there is fear, you are on the threshold of freedom from it. To differentiate that there is a fear that I am aware of is different than saying, I am afraid. For if you say, I am afraid, you now become the fear. And now the fear controls you in any situation that you allow it to dominate. That does not mean that you won't be afraid, but it means that you have the recognition that the fear does not have to define what your actions and thoughts are going to be subsequently from the moment that you perceive it. But in that moment, when you first perceive fear, or any of its children, whether it is you call it anxiety or depression or sadness or anger or rage, it does not matter what you call it, it is all fundamentally fear in different degrees and intensities of expression. Fear is initiated usually as an irritation or as a concern that is assessed oftentimes by your body automatically without you being aware that your body's assessed that it should be afraid of something. And then what? And then you make a decision. You're either going to be afraid or you're going to recognize there is fear. The moment you recognize the fear is the beginning of your freedom. To surrender subjectivity to it, not to repress it or deny it or negate it, but to surrender subjectivity to it, you'll often discover that much of your fear has nothing to do with who you are and has more to do with what your body perceives reality to be, because your body is a very separate and distinct animal that you just happen to be existing in while you are living in this physical dimension. It is like a car that you've jumped into, and many of you just don't understand the mechanisms of it, so you find yourself being subjected to it or believing that you are the vehicle. But that simple point, the moment there's the awareness you have of fear, you have a moment that you can say, there is fear. I am not this fear. And if you had no fear, if you could consistently recognize that the fear is not who you are, then the next question would be, then who are you? If fear is a vibrational energy that causes you to think or have certain thoughts or act in certain ways, then what if you are not that fear? What then are you? And I would honestly suggest to you that the nature of what you are as this consciousness, that this awareness, is a polarity of that fear. And that polarity I call love. Because in order to observe that you are aware there's fear, you must be observing from a different position of consciousness that is not fear. Therefore, then, your soul, your awareness, is not based in fear. Your fear is based in your body. And then if you are not fear, and you are a polarized position of fear, then I would say that you are love. And if you are this love, what are the impulses that you have when you are in love? And we're not speaking of the love of sensuality or the love for a thing. We're speaking of a vibrational state of being from which you are fearless, not devoid of the awareness that there's fear, but you're not subjective to it anymore. And what are you when you're not subjective to fear? You're free. And I say again, that sense of freedom is the beginning of love, that feeling where you are not bound by fear or any of its manifestations. When you're not bound by them, you move in consciousness to a different state of self-awareness, to reflect on the understanding that you can perceive fear, but you are not the fear. Then what am I that is perceiving that is not the fear? And now your attention shifts away from fear towards something other than fear. And you may look at it and say, well, I'm aware, I'm angry, I'm aware of the fear, but I'm not these things. Then who am I that is aware of these things? And you begin to pursue what often in history you've been told, know thyself. This aspect of you that I define as love, that has the capacity to function very differently than the impulses of fear and its children, and you begin to reflect on what you are, you begin to move vibrationally, just the very nature of shifting your attention to pursue a different avenue of perception from fear, you begin to move towards love. The road to fear will always lead to suffering. There is clear evidence to indicate that that's true throughout all civilizations. And yet, here at this time when there is so much knowledge and information has been available now for many hundreds of years, many discussions, many teachers, many philosophers, many leaders even that have spoken of this state of being that could create a civilization of joy and love. But it begins with your ability to make this distinction between fear and love in yourself. Because if the world was able to give you that sense of love, you would already have it. And because there's so much confusion in the world, it's difficult to find clarity in the world. But there is no questioning the reality that the moment you perceive fear and you go, there is fear, I'm aware of fear, then who is the I that is aware? And the perception you begin to formulate in connecting to the part of you that is this I am aware. I am aware. And you begin to feel that. You begin to feel this I that's not aware of the fear anymore. You begin to connect to that I that is aware. Energetically, vibrationally, you begin to change something fundamentally in your being. The obviousness of actions of fear, such as violence or depression or anxiety, when one identifies with that, and yet at the same time, the awareness that it is very uncomfortable for you, that it is not natural to you. In fact, every one of you knows that fear and anger, all these lower vibrational energies that cause much of the suffering that you see on this planet, these lower vibrational energies, you know are not you. And some of you are so desperate to get away from it that you'll do anything. You'll drink. You'll poison your body. You'll do things you would never imagine doing because you want to get away from that you know you are not. Because you do not know that you are not it. You still believe that you're it. But every one of you go through many gyrations to try and get away from your fear. But you do not have to get away from it because you are not it. But you have to come to a recognition that you are not the fear, that you are not the anger, that you are not the depression, that you are not the sadness. Those are not who you are. Most of that is just elements of your body and its evolution for billions of years that has kept it alive so that you could come into it at this time in your process of manifestation. And once you learn to distinguish between the organic impulses of the body to survive and the natural impulses of your awareness to thrive and evolve and grow and learn and expand and experience, be curious and playful, and you shift from the body's sense of how it needs to live to the sense of how you would choose to be, then the body begins to have another consciousness directing it, which is you. But until you come to this recognition that you are the awareness that can dictate whether the body will be in fear or whether you will allow it to express that fear as anger, or you allow that fear to express as depression, how then do you move in consciousness to this place of love? The moment of perception, it begins. The moment you perceive there is fear, there is depression, the moment you as the awareness perceive what you are perceiving, then you go, there is that, and then there is I who observe this. And that very moment where you say, I am observing this, then you know that I am not that which you're observing, for you are observing it. And if you can grasp this and hold it close to yourself, hold this close to yourself, that you are something different than what you are observing, this fear, this anger, this depression, this anxiety, that moment of recognizing I am not that, in that moment you awaken to another version of yourself that is not bound up in the survival impulses of your body. The need, and I understand this very well, the need to try and alleviate the intensity of an emotion, such as fear, for me was the utilization of certain substances. Some of you call it alcohol. Depends on what you call it, does not matter. That there was not that awareness, even for who I am at that time, to understand the distinction between who I am and the energetic responses of the body to the conditions that it held in the environment and that were held in its mind. But once that distinction is made, once you make that distinction between yourself observing a state of energy and what you are, and you begin to give attention to that which you are that observes, because as the observer of fear, you are not the fear. And if you can allow your attention to stay on that, to keep your attention on that just long enough to feel what you are, that's separate and distinct and unique from anything you've been told to think or feel or believe about yourself, or anything that society has told you to think or feel or believe about yourself. If you can hold on to this moment, this place where you are the awareness, you move into a different vibration. You begin to bring into your experience a different energy of your being than the energy of your mind and body based on what is acquired from this physical dimension. But now you begin to awaken to this vibrational difference, this polarity of yourself that is not the fear, that is not the sadness, that is not the anger. And if you keep your attention on anything long enough, it will dominate what you feel. And if you keep your attention on the state of I am awareness observing, there is something that you'll begin to grow and evolve. Just as you can focus on your fear and your concern and your anger, and they will grow and evolve, and before you know it, you've exploded. Even from a minor state of irritation, you can get to a state of absolute rage if you're not in control of who you are. If you just believe you're the body, if you just believe you're the emotions, if you just believe you're the thoughts in your mind, then you're going to necessarily follow the course of what's there. But in that moment you step outside of it, the moment you step away from it, and just feel what you are as this awareness that is unique and distinct from your fear, that is unique and distinct from any other range of emotions that you may be aware that you're experiencing. And then to rest your awareness, keep your attention on that place. You're going to awaken something in yourself. You're going to awaken yourself. And you're going to awaken a different vibration that is not fear. It is what you are. You, by nature, not your body. You, by nature, are love. Your body, by nature, is a mechanism based in surviving, which requires that it feels certain things to act in certain ways in order to not get eaten by lions or other things. But you, as awareness, are love. And if you can begin to give attention to anything that is not what you are, you will find yourself distancing yourself, becoming uncomfortable, because it is extremely uncomfortable to not be what you truly are. That is when you are the most uncomfortable, when you are not being who you are. That is where discomfort and suffering will come from for you, when you're not being who you are. So love is what you are. To contemplate and consider that, even in your own mind by yourself, when you are aware that you are feeling this emotion of sadness, you're feeling this emotion of anger, and you are aware and you go, whoa, I'm aware of this sadness, I am aware of this anger, but then who is this I? Who is this I that is aware? In the pursuit of that, you turn down a path towards the rebirth, to love, to self-evolution. Again, it happens very quickly when you keep your attention there, just as a little irritation can lead you to a big explosion because you keep your attention on it. So too, when you move your attention away from that which disturbs you to the fact that you are observing what is disturbing you, and you are now focusing on the observer that is not disturbed, because as the observer, you are simply observing disturbance or fear or anger, but you are not it. And that moment of perception where you realize you're not it, you begin to awaken. And you begin to remove yourself from subjectivity to your fear and anger. You do not need to get rid of fear and anger. You need to liberate yourself from subjectivity to them. And that can only occur when you begin to recognize who you are as awareness. As awareness, observing. And as you give that more attention, you'll notice things like fear and anger and sadness begin to dissipate because your attention is not feeding them anymore, because your attention is a source of energy. Your attention is a source of energy. And that when you can shift your attention away from suffering, something else can happen. The simplest step is often overlooked. The simplest step is often overlooked because it seems too simple. That you as an awareness can observe your thoughts, that you as an awareness can observe your emotions, you can observe your body. But as the observer, you are not them that you observe, you are that which observes it. And there have been arguments about what you are, what is consciousness, what is the soul. And you don't need to know what those arguments are, but you need to know that you are that observer in that place of observation where you can direct the eyes to look a certain way, or you can direct the body to function in a certain way. It would be very obvious from that perspective that you are in the position to direct what is happening with the condition of the body. Well, the same relationship exists in terms of your thoughts and your emotions. But that place of awareness that is distinctly separate from fear, is distinctly separate from biology, but it uses both, is aware of both. But in your awareness of you as the observer of the self, of mind and body, that is, the self-personality, in the observation of it, you remove yourself from subjectivity to it. And the more you give attention to what you are as an awareness, a different set of ideas, values, and information can begin to come into play energetically into your mind and into your body. The very nature of giving attention to what you are as something that's separate and distinct from what you already know from the world, you begin to open a pathway to receiving information and knowledge that is not available to you from this physical world, but which you inherently carry with you as a consciousness, as a soul, a spirit of universal light. It's what you are, a spirit of universal light and love. It's what you are. And when you recognize that, the role that your body and mind play changes. You surrender spontaneously subjectivity to them and now become the operator of them. You recognize there are things that the body needs that you must give to it because it will not do it itself. It simply operates on sensation. And there are things and thoughts that your mind needs in order to generate certain energies to cause certain behaviors. And from the position of awareness, you can begin to select and choose thoughts and emotions as surgical tools for creating and designing the expression of your life from the nature of what you truly are, which is an expression of consciousness born of an infinite intelligence that gives life to all things, which is love. Is not life love? Letting go of fear is not something you have to do. It is something that you already have done. But you must recognize that you are not the fear. You are not the anger. You are not the rage. You are awareness. And you as awareness is a different vibrational energy than fear and all of its children. The beautiful thing about your attention is that when you place it on something, you change your energy. If you place your attention on the blue skies, then you're fascinated by the blue skies. Or if you place your attention on that thing that somebody said to you that upset you, you start to feel upset. Likewise, if you place your attention on who you are as awareness, who are you as awareness, something else begins to become apparent to you. There is an awakening process in mystical schools that they talk about, an awakening process that begins to happen. Are you ready? You already are awakened. Now it's time to know that you are awakened. That your body, that your mind are instruments that you utilize. But that first step of being aware is the most crucial and essential step for your freedom from fear and all of its expressions. That first step of I am aware of fear, I am aware of sadness, I am aware of depression. That place where I am aware is a place of differentiation where you are not that which you observe, you are simply observing. But then if you observe yourself as the observer, it changes. Your mind will change, your body will change, your habits will begin to change when you begin to understand that you're no longer functioning as fear or as anger or as doubt or as, you're no longer that. You recognize I am not that. I am aware of those things in my mind and body, but they are not what I am as the observer. And I'm repeating the same basic idea over because it's so important that you capture that moment when it happens. And every time you capture that moment, you break free a little bit more when you recognize, oh wait, there is fear. I am not this fear. I'm aware of it. I'm not this depression. I'm aware of it. You begin a process of extricating yourself from the enmeshment between your mind and body that you currently have. You begin to move yourself into a different position of authority over your mind and body, which is essential for being able to execute the purpose of your love's expression here, to know what your expression is as love. You already know what your expression is for suffering. You've experienced it. But what is your expression as love? What is that? You cannot come to it through fear. You cannot come to it through your anger. You cannot come to it through your depression. Although those things can force you to surrender them, they can be so unbearably uncomfortable that you'll be forced to surrender. You'll just want to give it up. But the easiest way is to become aware that you are aware of the depression, or you are aware of the sadness or the fear or the anger, and then to reflect on who am I that is aware? Who am I? If I'm aware of these things, then who am I? The mere act of shifting your attention to that place begins a process of transformation for your life. For you begin to bring then into your mind and you begin to bring into your body a different energy. It's not something you got from this world. You are not something that came from this world. You came through this world, but you didn't come from it. But you're in it right now. You're in it right now, but it is not you. You have brought something here with you as awareness. And to reflect on you, on what I am as the observer of all these things, no matter how crazy your life might seem, you are an observer. And in that position of observing, you change your vibrational frequency. You begin to give attention to something other than what you know. And you begin to give attention to something you do not know. And something's going to emerge from that place of awareness. And you're going to bring different ideas and different information into your world. You will get inspiration. You'll get ideas that cannot come from the mind that you have acquired from this world, nor the body that has been acquired from this world. Your mind and body are acquired from this world. You came into them, but they're acquired from it. You as awareness can function independent of a body, although nobody would be able to see you in the same sense, because you have to have a different set of senses open to be able to do that. But there is a position in being aware that allows you to begin to open your consciousness up to the unknown realm of information that this world cannot give you, that your body cannot give you. In that place of awareness, you begin to restore yourself to love. And what love will say and what love will do is not rooted in fear. It is not rooted in the body. Love is not rooted in the body. Sex is rooted in your body, but love is not rooted in your body. You can bring love into the body as an expression of your being. And you can even bring love into the act of physical intimacy. But love does not exist in the body in the state that you understand it. But the nature of what you are is love. Even to consider the possibility that I am not this fear, I am not this anger, I am not these things, I am love. To begin to consider that possibility causes a shift in your mind that will affect your body, just as the thoughts and information you've acquired from this world affect your body. Certain memories can even affect your body if you're subjective to them. The goal that I had today in coming through this one was to give you the opportunity, the doorway, if only but a crack in it, to enable you to realize that you are not your fear, you are not your anger, you are not your depression, you are not your sadness, you are not your guilt, you are not your shame. Most of that is stuff you've acquired from this world, but it is not who you are. The observer is what you are. The one that is aware there is guilt, the one that is aware there's anger, the one that is aware there's depression. And in that place, when you pull your attention away from, I'm focusing on my sadness, I'm focusing on this depression, I'm focusing on this anger, and I am the observer. Focus upon yourself as the observer. And you're going to find a different feeling begins to emerge. And you'll find that there's different ways you can change and alter the resident patterns in your mind and body that generate fear. You can alter and change the body's mechanisms of instinct if you understand who you are. If you understand that you can alter and change your mind, and you can alter and change the responses of the body to conditions that normally stimulate it to respond with fear. You can do this from a place of awareness, but you cannot do it from a place of believing or thinking that your fear is who you are, that your body is who you are, that your thoughts are who you are. It's very difficult to, unless your thoughts are really good. Unless your thoughts are really good, you might be able to break your attachment to it. But the reality is that you as awareness, that moment of perception, I will say this because it's so important to say, the moment you are aware of your fear, the moment you are aware of your suffering, the moment you are aware, and you are reflecting then not on what you are aware of, but that I am aware, you step away from fear. You begin to break that seductive element of its energy, which fear, anger, guilt, and shame, sensuality are very seductive for you to get caught up into the mind and body. That does not mean that seduction and the likes of the body can't be fun, but to be subjective to it is not a good thing. But to be able to move your awareness onto being focused upon that you are aware begins a fundamental shift in your life from fear towards your true nature, which is love. And the expressions of love are very different in the reactions and expressions of fear. And most of what you see in this world today is somewhat different than when I was in this world. There's much more fear, there's much more fascination with things that are not useful in reminding you of what you came here to be and do. There's not as much to remind you of what love is. If you turn on your televisions or you listen to what most people are talking about, there is not much in communication to help you reveal love to yourself. But in this place where you are aware you are not your fear, you are not your love, you are this awareness that is able to utilize these elements. You can be subjected to either. The vibrational nature of what you are and the reflection of your awareness upon that, not upon fear, not upon your sadness, not upon your depression, but reflecting on the awareness that is aware, and to simply keep your attention there, you will feel a change. You will feel an abatement to your sadness, your guilt, your shame. You'll feel it begin to suddenly subside, if only a little bit. But the moment you can put your attention on simply being aware, and you feel your fear or your depression or your sadness abate even a little bit, then you've tugged yourself away from that a little bit. You've pulled yourself out of it a bit more. And if you do it again, it captures me again. You pull, oh, I'm aware. And I'm aware. And each little tug is like grabbing that thread in a sweater that has come loose, and you pull it and the whole thing comes apart. And that's what starts to happen as you begin to move your awareness away from your identification with fear and the different emotional constructs that your body has in order for it to survive all these millions and billions of years, which it has. Your body has been around, maybe not that body that you're in, but the essence of the consciousness of body has been around for billions of years on this planet. And so it has acquired a lot of understanding about how to survive here. And now it has a difficult time surrendering itself to you. But remember, each time you go to this I'm aware, and you focus on the fact that you're aware, you begin to unravel. You begin to decouple yourself. You begin to move back from subjectivity to the emotions, to fear. And you begin to restore yourself to what you are, not as a mind and a personality or as a body, but as a conscious entity here to manifest and express something unique and distinct that you came here to express. And you will only get to it by recognizing who you are, which is why you have seen so many different philosophies saying, know who you are, know yourself. Not just the body self, not just the mind, know the self that is aware of that. Thank you. Thank you for your ears that hear. Good morning, everybody. This has been really, it is fascinating what we're doing. Good morning, everybody. Question from Lauren. And, oh, yes, I've made those announcements already. Lauren's asking, are my dreams so very bizarre right now because of deep buried fear and rage from many lifetimes? Yes. So he just wants to say, if you understand the nature of your body, then your body remembers all material organic experience. In the DNA systems of your body, your entire body remembers all experiences. Organically, it remembers a lifetime as a tree or as a dog or as a cat. It has the memory of those things. And you may be tapping into those now. Do not be captivated by those things. If you have heard what I've said today, you will understand that that is not what should capture your attention. But who are you that was observing? Who are you that was observing that? Who are you remembering that dream? Who are you that remembers that? What if you focus on what is observing, and not what the phenomena is, something different can happen. You begin to pull yourself away from the distractions of the memories of many lifetimes, the distraction of the memories in the body of survival, the distractions of the memories in your mind from this biological experience. You see, many of you are captured by the phenomenon, and it is not by error. It is simply your body naturally responds to anything in a very specific way. It's how it's survived. But you do not have to be captured by its concern about what it does not understand. But you do need to be mindful of who you are as awareness. In that place, you begin to liberate yourself from subjectivity to the memories of the body. And yes, as awareness, you have been in many bodies, many incarnations, but you do not need to be governed by them now. Allow your awareness to capture your attention. Bring your attention to who are you as awareness. Who are you as this observer? What is the vibration of your being as awareness? So you see the fear, you are aware of the fear. What are you? Give attention to what you are observing. Give attention. You'll feel the change. It's going to happen. It's happening right now for billions of you. You just don't understand it yet, but it's happening. That distinction. Great question. Thank you so much. Question from Vaughn. Oh, no, that's not a question. There we go. From Babagira. Do you have any directional guidance regarding my work and my family? He's just saying, if it's love, then it's worth living. If it's love, it's worth thinking. If it's love, it's worth doing. Do you understand this? Do not let your mind convince you of who you are not, which many of you have done, unintentionally, of course. You've let your mind convince you of who you are not. You know, what you've been told by others to believe you're supposed to be, and you've been convinced to be who you are not. Who are you that is observing your life? Who are you that is observing your life right now? Who are you? And how do you, as the observer, feel? You'd be surprised that there's very little that will actually bother you when you're truly who you are. And the way you'd respond to things is very different when you're not caught up in the way your mind is thinking it's supposed to be, or the way your body believes it has to react in order to survive. Your response will be very different from a perspective of awareness. But for you, the specifics of these things are not as important as the opportunity they afford you to remember yourself, to be free. For who you are as awareness will not be bound to anything or anyone for survival's sake. You will not be concerned about survival in the sense of who you are, for who you are has a range of resources and information available to you that is not available anywhere on earth, but which can facilitate your journey here being very exciting and fun. Very exciting and fun. Wow, thank you. Question from Vertical. What is the reason in my lower thighs that I cannot fall asleep lately? I don't know why this is, but I'm getting a picture of I'm getting this image of a yoga posture in my mind where you're literally you're holding your hands with your feet behind your head. It's something about this. This is what I'm just being shown for you. Something about this posture. And again, if I offer my own personal interpretation on it, I would say that would seem to be an inclination that you need to work on fine-tuning the way your body is being treated by you. You need to alter and change. And again, that yoga posture, they're just showing me the image of it, like literally being where your body is literally, you're holding your hands behind your head, and your body's like almost like a circle, backward circle. And again, what is a circle? A circle is a symbol of infinite movement, right? I would consider looking into yoga and giving your body a different type of treatment so that it remembers The other thing that's just come in too is also something about moving on. Again, I don't know if this is in relationship to, but something about the call to move on, to walk forward. That's the only two things I've got about that. Thank you so much, Vertical. Good question. Hi, Ruby. Hi, Elena. There's so much. Hi, Nicole. You're very welcome, Nicole. Question from Adam for Pan. Why does a certain type of astral energy, for example, sexual, can manifest in different spirit species? Example, nymph compared to succubus, and not only one explain the energetic conditions. Again, the energetic conditions of your biology are very different than the energetic conditions of anyone's biology. Any form, even in the human species, there are different relative expressions of that energy. The vibrational spectrum from fear to love determines that energy. These mystical beings that you speak of, the fairies, the gnomes, these other dimensional beings, utilize the vibrational energy in the spectrum of love more than they use energies in the vibrational spectrum of fear. So it determines that the energy that you utilize energetically in this regard is determined predominantly by the vibrational state that you align yourself to. And this is true for all species, on all dimensions. The utilization of energy, whether you call it sexual or creative energy, is available equally to all, but differentiates in terms of the consciousness through which it is moving, through the medium through which it's moving, whether that is the medium of your mind or the medium of your body or the medium of your soul or the medium of a dimensional element. Energy adjusts itself according to the dominant frequency that your awareness resides in at any point of time, space that is known, and the dimensions of time, space that are not known. But the principle is true universally. Wow, thank you so much. Question from Faradiba. Is this physical discomfort I have been experiencing the last couple of days an energetic shift? I do not know how. Can I best use it? Yeah, I don't know who this is, but they're saying everything that you are all experiencing is an energetic shift. Everything you're experiencing is a movement of energy, whether it is in your body. But the question is your energetic shift in the frequency spectrum of love, or is your energetic shift in the spectrum of the frequency of fear? You see, you get to decide and choose what you will give your life to. And wherever you place your attention, you're giving your life to an act of manifestation, of creation. If you give your attention to fear, you're going to manifest creations of fear. If you give your attention to love, you're going to manifest creations of love. It's just what happens. You have a choice in this regard. What are you going to choose? What are you going to choose? That is the next step in recognizing you're awake. You get to choose wherever you place your attention, and to know that wherever you place your attention, you are affecting manifestation. Wherever you place your attention, you are affecting manifestation. Wow. Question from Olena. How is life a dream? It's a great question. It depends on what level you want to look at it from. Sorry, this is all this laughter. It's all a dream. It's all a dream, but you can believe it is real. You can be in your body, and many of you believe that your body is who you are, and you call that real. You call, when something pokes you or hurts you, you call that real. That sensation of pain, you call that real. And for the body, it is very real. So that would depend on whether you believe you are a body. Do you believe you are your thoughts? Who are you? Are you this awareness that observes fear? Are you as the awareness that observes the body? Are you a dream? Are you real? You must consider this. If you as awareness can direct the body to operate in ways that are contrary to its nature, does that make you more real or the body more real? That I can direct this body to pick up a glass of water. Does that make the body more real? The water more real? Or who is directing the body to pick up the water more real? Which is real? Which one is the dream? Is the water the dream? When you close the eyes of that body at night and you think you've gone to sleep, but you wake up and you're in your body, where were you? Were you in a dream? You get to decide this. You are creating intelligence. But the body can seem very real when you're in pain. But even a great healer knows that pain is an illusion. A firewalker knows that burning is an illusion. You might want to study the art form of what you call in this dimension now hypnosis, and understand that you can create many conditions from awareness that you cannot create from the body. And you can create many conditions through thoughts that you have in your mind. They are very different realities, but they will affect each other. We have time for one more question, and then we shall head on. Question from Vio. One of the members here called Wanjema is very sick, and we're concerned about his mental stability. How can I help him? He is my uncle. Well, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions first. What do you define as mental stability? And what do you define as reality? What is your definition of that? You see, there are people throughout history that were considered absolutely crazy. The idea that you could fly something through the air that was heavier than air was insanity, and people that thought of such things were considered crazy. People that considered ideas that you could put a cloth above your head and jump off a mountain and float were considered crazy. People who said they could learn to travel at great speeds without a horse were considered crazy. People that have said that there is no such thing as death, there's only a transmutation of consciousness from one state to another, were considered crazy. Who are you? Who are you? That body. Your concern for this one must be understood from where you are concerned, and what are you basing your observation and your judgment of this one upon. That your definition of mental stability may not represent truly what is stable for this one, but I'm being told to say this to you specifically. If you are allowing your love to think, to act, then you will have a very different result than if you are allowing your fear or your concern to act. Love approaches situations very differently than fear does. And if you cannot surrender your fear, then that is all you will have to offer others. That is what most people do. They offer their fear, not their love. And love is deeply needed in this world. If you approach any situation from love, it's very different. But then how do you get to that place of love, which we've already discussed? We've already covered this. That if you are afraid, who are you that is observing the fear? If you can approach your life not from your fear, but from your love, you will see things very differently. There are things that others may understand that you do not, and that might cause you to be afraid. There are things that others might believe that might cause you to be afraid, even though they are valid. The idea of a horseless carriage was once invalid. Now you would not consider riding a horse down the street in your cities now, would you? The idea of flying machines for everybody is now becoming a reality. The idea that there are other dimensions of consciousness, that there are other beings that exist alongside you in slightly phase-shifted dimensions might seem crazy, but it is becoming a reality. There are shifts in dimensional consciousness happening right now. Most of you do not understand that because you are believing that your body is the sole source of your identity, that your thoughts are the sole source of who you think you are. And yet the very nature of your observation that you have a mind and you have a body would seem to conflict with that idea. Our love goes out to all who hear these words. You understand that this position of the observer self and your attention to that which observes will afford you an opportunity to change and transform, to rise above subjectivity to the directions of the body and the acquired information in your mind. I want to say thank you to everybody for coming out today. I want to remind you all that, again, tomorrow, the meditation tomorrow is going to be called Calm the Seas, and it's going to be with Master Jesus. I'm really excited about this. Calm the Seas. And that's going to be tomorrow's meditation on Supernatural Saturday. That's at 10 a.m. Here, so please join us for that meditative process with the Master Jesus. Also on Saturday at 12:12 p.m., there's a special patrons-only live event with Archangel Raphael. And it's a discourse and a meditation. Love is the pathway to healing and ascension. And that's going to be tomorrow for my patrons at 12:12 p.m. You've all received the link through the email address that you registered with my patron account with. Next week, on Monday, June the 20th, you are the master of the house. Body, mind, and emotions, and that's in brackets. And that's going to be with my guardian angel, John. You are the master of the house, and in brackets, body, mind, soul, emotions. That'll be this Monday, June the 20th. Wednesday, June the 22nd, how to know what is right for you. And in brackets, the word polarity, and it's with a being by the name of Elijah. And that will be this Wednesday, June the 22nd. Friday, June the 24th, being free. The servants obey you. And that'll be next Friday. I don't know who's coming through on that. They just haven't revealed it. It'll be posted probably on my YouTube channel tonight in the preview reel. I want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you to my patrons so much for your support. It means a great deal to allow us to keep doing this 4 times a week. I also want to make a quick announcement. We donate 10% of everything we get goes towards a group called our Underground Railroad from our patrons and from the YouTube channel. We give 10% every single month. And they just announced they had brought down a large ring of a pedophile ring that was brought down that was housing lots and lots of children around the world. They brought this down. And that's a group called Our Underground Railroad. And you can look them up. The link is in the description box. You can support that organization. We try to support that organization monthly So please consider supporting them. They're doing some great work liberating children from that diabolical part of human miscreation. I want to wish you all much love. Have a joyful day, and I will see you tomorrow on Supernatural Saturday. Bye for now.